Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Self Connection with myself, Kelly Pietro. I'll be asking all the questions with Ginny Brown, who is going to be channeling the answers, and with the multitude of the greater good, who will be providing the answers through Ginny as the channel. How you doing, Ginny?
I'm good today. I'm good. Like actually quite relaxed. I think I'm getting used to this phenomenon.
Slowly but surely, we're both getting used to it, right?
How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
So I have a surprise topic for you,
Okay.
which I kind of want to talk a little bit about before you channel an answer.
Okay.
I think just to build the energy around it so that when we ask our question, maybe all that we explore, what they're already saying something. It doesn't matter. Well, for the benefit of our listeners, let's say that. So today I wanted to talk about energy vortexes, or maybe it's more appropriate to say vortices. I don't know what the correct terminology is, but you know, you hear a lot of people in our let's say the world of spiritual exploration talk about vortices or vortexes in the earth, right? And sometimes when I read stuff about that, I can feel a little bit of like, I don't know if this is, maybe this is their truth. I don't know if it's true. But I guess like I'm curious about, do they exist? How do they come to be? Why are they here? What are we meant to learn from them? Are they to be utilized for some reason? I'm just really curious about what the multitude has to say about the energy vortexes that we experience here on Earth.
So do you have a specific question?
I want to know all those things. I want to know, okay, so, well, I'll ask the first question is it true that there are energy vortexes on Earth?
It is important to understand that the earth is an energy all its own. It provides itself with a great deal of energy, of course, connected with not only the greater good, but the greater expanse of the universe. In our estimation, there is no definitive, say, energy vortex. There are places where the earth chooses to expand herself, and places where the earth has mastered who it is that she is. In our estimation, a vortex is that part in creation, that part she has chosen in order to use herself, her own energy, and to expand in that place. In our estimation, there are those on the earth plane who do the same thing. They have their own energy. They bring their own energy with them to the earth plane and then create process after process in order to heal certain parts of self, to grow certain parts of self, and to be more of who one is. In our estimation, the earth and the person are experiencing the same type of growth processes. And when the earth experiences a growth process in a certain area of its being, it is it's like energized. I can see is the energy. I don't know how to explain it, just the energy coming up. And that is what a person experiences as an energy portal or an energy area, or a vortex, as you might say. However, in our estimation, it is not a specific type of vortex or being. It is the earth expanding herself in an energetic way, which is able to be felt by the energetic sensitivities of a human person on the earth plane.
So that's interesting. And what comes to mind is the question of, can anyone feel that energy in the presence of that place? Or is there something that's going on, like a resonant energy with the person who can feel it? Because some people will say, no, I don't feel it. And some people will say, yeah, I feel it. What's the explanation behind that discrepancy?
It is important to understand that each one comes to the earth plane, which is with its own perception of being. Some come to learn, some come to experience, some come to allow themselves to expand. In our estimation, those who have come to learn may choose to expand their energetic field to include that type of energy. Those come to experience will definitely feel that kind of energy. And those come to just understand more of who they are may or may not be prone to accepting an energetic part of themselves. It is the energetic part of oneself that connects with the energetic part of another, or the energetic part of the area around them, such as Mother Earth. In our estimation, it is not a matter of either or. It is a matter of when one is ready to expand, one does. And when one is ready to move oneself forward on any part of their being on the earth plane, they do. Do not be concerned.
So what is it? So I understand, thank you, by the way, to you and to the multitude.
You're welcome.
You know me though, my mind gets going and it's like a runaway train. So then my question becomes, I understand that that location that we might call, oh, this is an energy vortex. Now I understand it to be an area of growth from that Gaia is experiencing herself, or Mother Earth is. But I guess my question then is, are there conditions that we would understand that I already can hear the answer, the present that, okay, so let me rephrase it, because I can already hear the answer and I want to then like clarify. In the areas of vortexes or vortices, is there a condition that happens in the human realm that contributes to that vortex happening? In other words, I know it's Mother Earth's growth experience, but are there cases where like human experience in that place have an impact or help to create that area, that particular area?
Well, what I got was it's a sharing of energy, the human and the earth. However, we would like you to understand that when it is that one is able and ready, one connects. It does not matter if one is in the area of a vortex. One allows oneself to connect with oneself on the earth plane with Mother Earth, no matter where one is or how one is. One does not need to be in a specific place in order to allow that connection and that growth process. There is an exchange of energy between the two. It is how one is planned to help oneself grow as well as help another grow. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, so it's not necessarily that like something happened there, like me, like I guess I wonder, like, did some event happen there to create that energy experience? And if so, was it something, an event that involved humans, or is an event that involved like a physical shift in, like, you know, the earth, her physical self? Or could it be a combination, or it could be any of those things that created the circumstances for the vortex to be created?
In our estimation, and it's important to understand that none of those things are important. What happens is and say an issue happens at a certain place, and that person grows, and the earth grows, and that is all. It does not resonate in a specific way with a specific event or happening. What it resonates is with the person who is feeling that energy, as that person has experienced certain things of that nature in it's like either in this lifetime or another. In our estimation, many things have happened over many eons of one's being in order to allow one to resonate with an energy. And it does not matter what has happened, what stays on the earth plane, or what doesn't. What matters is that that person is experiencing the energy that has been felt over some part of one's lifetime or many lifetimes in order to fulfill one's healing self, one's healing, I'm getting prophecies. However, it is important to understand one has decided before coming to the earth plane what one wishes to heal. Therefore, one brings to oneself those experiences in order to enable the healing. Do not be concerned. When the time is right, each one allows one's own self to feel what is required to be felt, to heal what is required to be healed, and to allow oneself, one's being on a higher and greater level. We can also tell you there are many who come to the earth plane without feeling the energy of anything, as that is not their goal in this lifetime.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I was a little distracted because my family's knocking at my door.
Oh,
I forgot to tell them I was on a Zoom. Okay. So what I find so interesting is that every time I come to the multitude with a question, you know me, I like to think like, what does this mean for the world and for humanity? And
you're a macro thinker rather than a micro thinker.
I am, and they always bring me back to the self, that it's a journey of the individual,
Right.
and that the individual journey and every individual journey contributes to the collective. And so it's almost like this message of stop worrying about the collective. You just got to worry about yourself.
Right.
But so I struggle with.
Wait a minute. Yes, you worry about yourself without worrying about the collective. However, as you heal yourself and bring to you those things that you need, you help the whole collective. Energetically, your, let's say, up-leveled energy energizes the whole and adds to the whole collective. So as you work on yourself, you heal these things and contribute to the collective without having to focus on the collective.
Yes, and well, I totally get that. And I think it's a good reminder of where to keep your focus. As someone who is curious about, I don't know, the macro.
Yeah.
But it really does remind us of that that ancient axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. It's like whatever you see outside, as within, so without, your outer world is reflecting back to you what actually is going on inside of you. And so if you utilize the outer world as a tool to do self-reflection and then do the inner work of the self, then when you change yourself, the outer world begins to reflect that change back to you.
True. But what happens is it's all energetically done, and you're not going to bring to you those things that you don't need. Like, I don't need to worry about what's happening on the house on the other side of the courtyard or whatever. I need to worry about what's happening here. And as I change my energy here, it will elevate the energy all around, including that house on the other side of the
Yeah.
green. So the focus needs to be here but it changes the outside. And when I change my energy as to what I've healed, I will allow that to come to me, and other things from that I need to have healed within me will also come to me. And as I change that, it changes all the energy around me. So it sounds a little like complicated, but it's not really.
Yeah, and I tend to use the triggers in my outer world as a tool to do the work instead of like I do get sucked in though sometimes.
Yeah, but those triggers in your outer world wouldn't come to you if you didn't need them.
Right.
So you don't need what's happening across the street from you to trigger you. You need something that's pertinent to you to trigger you, which you bring to you on the energetic level.
Yeah, and I believe it, and I've seen it, like the change real time, like let's say something triggers me. I'll take the time, first of all, I'll notice my suffering and notice that activated feeling, and I'll say, oh my gosh, what is that totally triggered me? How am I feeling right now? And I'll try to name it, although I know you don't have to name it. This is just a helpful tool that I use. I try to name it, and then maybe it's like feeling invalidated. Well, where do I hold resonance with invalidation? Where am I holding it in my being? Have I invalidated others? Have I invalidated myself? That someone else would invalidate me is triggering. It's the thing to look upon within the self to say, okay, what is this showing me? And then when I acknowledge those areas of resonance, as many as I can, and there's so many tools you can do with that, but it's usually the acknowledgement and the feeling, right? The allowing yourself to feel the fullness of that vibration of invalidation is to release it, right?
Yeah, the other part that I see at the moment is that, it's my opinion, is that if you didn't need to feel that feeling of invalidation in order to heal it within yourself, you wouldn't even pay any attention to it. It would just go by, because it's not for you. You don't need it.
Yeah, it would just roll.
That's right.
It's like the triggers are there as to put us on the path of healing.
Yeah. And if they're not for you, then you don't really even pay any attention to them.
It's not a trigger. It's just
not a trigger.
Just a normal thing, an everyday thing. And I think that's so important in a time that we live in right now, where things are so divisive and people are triggered left and right. To be able to instead of engage in the trigger and further the divisiveness, to take it and go within, to heal that aspect of self, so that when you change your internal vibration, then it begins to reflect outside of you. Can you imagine if everyone was doing that? The outer world we would create. Although then my mind goes to the place of like, yeah, but like, if that is how we heal, and I know it's not everybody, but there's a lot of people who have incarnated like you and myself, and a lot of people we know that that's our path, then it almost feels unending. And the thought of that is exhausting.
Yeah, but it's unending on the energetic level, not necessarily on the mental level. You don't even need to know that you're healing something. You just need to mostly acknowledge it and feel the feeling and breathe. You don't even need to know what that feeling's about. You just need to acknowledge that you're not feeling quite normal, or you're feeling a little upset, or you're feeling this feeling or that feeling, or you're feeling whatever the example was that you used earlier.
Invalidated.
Invalidated. Yeah, if you're feeling it, well, acknowledge you're feeling invalidated. Feel the feeling around feeling that how bad it feels to you, and then breathe in that feeling. That's all you need to do, and then let it work. And sometimes there are things that are healed in layers. Sometimes you'll heal a bit of it, and then you'll feel a little better, and then you'll move on, and then he may come back and revisit you, and then you can do some more work around it.
I think I'm just tired, like I've been doing this, it almost seems nonstop since 2017. It's now 2023. And I'm like, when can I just experience my triggers through joy instead of through suffering? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ask, can I renegotiate my contract for that? But yeah, it can be.
The multitude says all the time, you're the one in charge.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I gotta plug in my battery. Maybe they have something to say on the topic of healing triggers. And I know they're going to say, well, that's how you chose to experience in this incarnation. That's probably, Ginny, how you chose. But I don't know. Do they have anything more to add to this topic that they think is important for people to know?
There are those parts of oneself that come to experience joy, those parts that come to experience suffering, as you choose to put it. There are also those parts that come to experience rest. And when one takes the opportunity to rest, then one rejuvenates oneself and is more able to experience the joy that is there. One brings with oneself all that one knows who one is, brings all the feeling selves, that is. When one brings joy, one brings sadness, one brings an elevated feeling of self, one brings a diminished feeling of self, one brings like everything, all the feelings that one has felt over one's many lifetimes, in order to allow those feelings to help inform, help move one along, and when the time is right, to allow it to be healed when it is no longer necessary. We would highly recommend that you not worry so much about the healing. Allow yourself to focus on what's in your life, the joy that you see around you, as there is much. It is a matter of where one chooses to focus. Excuse me, when one chooses to focus on joy, one brings joy. When one chooses to focus on sadness, one will bring sadness. When one chooses to be who one is, one will allow all the feelings, and one can experience each and every one at the right, correct time of one's being. In our estimation, it is right to understand that you have come to the earth plane in order to heal many things at this time. Therefore, your major focus is on healing. However, there is also a great deal of joy. And when you allow yourself to understand it is both and not either or, you will be able to move yourself forward differently, and all is love.
Great. I asked them to help guide me in seeing more joy. Well, that was good. So what I heard in there was like the polarity to like the whole spectrum of a particular vibration. So I can't remember the examples they said, but they were talking about when you bring in this, you also bring in this. And it's like the spectrum of, let's say, self-worth, right? It's the low self-worth, it's the high self-worth. So if you're coming to experience self-worth, you're going to experience the polarity and the entire spectrum of it.
And if you focus on the negative parts that you believe are negative, then you're gonna, it's like live there. That's the energy you're gonna bring to you. If you focus on the better parts of yourself, then you can, it's like I choose a lot of the time to focus on those things that I did wrong or I are not so positive about me. In my opinion, it may not be truth. It's just my opinion. Therefore, I can bring myself down. And when I focus on those parts that are right about me, that are good about me, then I have more energy. I feel better. It's those kinds of things. It's that kind of what I see them saying, and I may be wrong, but it's that kind of a choice that we have on the earth plane to guide our focus to what serves us best. Sometimes the negative stuff serves us better as we get to heal it, but we don't have to live there.
Good advice. All right, so we can either end it there, or I can ask another question that kind of goes on to a little bit of a different topic, but it is probably a short one.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep on going.
So it came to me because you said it's not true, but it's my truth. And I think a lot of people are playing with that concept nowadays. True versus truth. Can they clarify the difference between true versus truth as from the human experience perspective?
We would like you to understand that we are quite apt and able to do that. However, we would like to know in your expression or your understanding of true and truth that we can expand on. Please reiterate.
Okay. Well, so there's concrete scientific facts in fiction. Well, as perceived by the human experience. And then there's, I guess, interpretation or personal experience. My guess would be that true and truth falls in between those. And I think there's a service to having both of them in our human experience. I mean, there's a lot of hot topics around that I don't think we should get into. It doesn't feel appropriate for us to get into. It feels like whoever's listening this will apply it in their own life and with what they're thinking about. But I've heard the multitude say things like there's a difference between true and truth.
It is important to understand, my dear, that what one believes to be true is one's thought process and one's belief system. There is always that part of self that believes what is true for one is true for everyone. However, what is true for one is not another's truth. In our estimation, when one believes that one is able to move forward in a higher and greater way, one is. When one believes it is right to move forward in a higher and greater way, it is. And when one believes that one has moved forward in a higher and greater way, it is also truth. However, when one says, oh, I've done this and I've done that and I'm complete in my process, that may be what's true for them. However, it is not their truth, as the truth has a higher meaning and a higher guidance. In our estimation, what one believes is true on the earth plane is quite different from the truth that is experienced in the spiritual plane. We can tell you of our knowing, having lived on the earth plane, it is quite different on the earth plane than in spirit. And on the earth plane, true and truth have completely different meanings. On the spiritual plane, there is only truth. One knows who one is on the spiritual plane. One can move oneself forward on the spiritual plane. And when one tries to apply oneself's knowing on the spiritual plane to what is right for them on the physical plane, one is quite capable. However, one's truth in spirit is not always helpful for one on the earth plane. Therefore, we would highly recommend that one understand within oneself what's true or truthful for one is not or does not apply to each and every other one in our estimation. That is the way it needs to be. And all is love. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So let me ask then. Okay, so I understood what you said, but would you clarify? Because it's still very confusing to me. It is important to understand, my dear, that you come from a very different place than most. You are quite sure of who you are, what you need, and what you want, and you are able to move yourself forward from a different state of being. Those on the earth plane, however, 99% of those, that is, are only able to see what is in front of them and what they are feeling. Therefore, it is important to heal from the feeling self. When one reaches the level of acceptance of energetic knowing, as you have, things are interpreted quite differently. Do not be concerned, all is love. Okay.
Yeah, I think what I got from that is like you have the insight, the spiritual insight to look at, let's say, a topic, a debate, something that's going on in humanity, and you can see the humanity aspect of it, but you can also see the spiritual lesson of it.
Right. Yeah, more easily. Yeah.
Hashtag goals for the rest of us, for the 99% of us. I think compassion is the key to that, and staying curious. Right? Like for me, when I see a narrative playing out in the world, I can have my own opinions about it. But if I, instead of judging and projecting my opinion on it, the parts that stick for me or that trigger that I don't agree with, or that I'm like, what is this? Instead of judging it, I'll just say, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And a lot of times by staying open and curious, the spiritual message drops in, like, because you're kind of staying open to say, oh, this is interesting. I wonder why that's happening. I wonder what the spiritual lesson of that is. And when you're in that open place, the answers can drop in a little bit easier to say, like, oh, that's just humanity trying to figure out X, Y, and Z, or that's just that person exploring who they are. And, you know, this is just one polarity of that exploration.
I think that's true, but that's true for you. And that's your process to have to be open and let it drop in. There are many other ways to process it. People get their information differently. But I think you're right in the respect of staying open and allowing the information to come in whatever way it comes.
Yeah.
If someone is trying to stay open and waiting for it to drop in, it may never drop in because that's not their process. It may come in the form of a knowing. It may come in the form of a feeling or whatever, but they will get their information one way or another.
Love it. Awesome. All right. You got anything else, Ginny?
You're the one asking the questions, Cal.
I feel like that's a good place to stop, because I'm not feeling a pull in any other direction. I feel like that was a good, gosh, I think we got 3 topics in.
Wow.
Maybe 4 in this one little video. So,
well, of course, there's always another message from the multitude.
Okay.
We would like each of you to understand that in your journey, there is no one set way to grow. It is a matter of being who you are when you are, meaning that if it is that you feel a feeling, acknowledge that feeling. If it is that you are moving forward in joy, acknowledge the joy, appreciate the joy, allow yourself to experience the experience. If it is that you are able to allow yourself to open yourself differently, you will find yourself able to experience on a higher and greater level. Meaning, if it is that you experience joy, you will experience greater joy. You will experience a greater feeling of joy. Not necessarily more joy, it's just a greater in-depth knowledge of who you are. In our estimation, it is a matter of understanding. Each one comes to the earth plane to be who one is. One is able to learn from others, but one is unable to be another. Therefore, we would highly recommend that you take the opportunity to allow yourself to experience, to know who you are, to allow who you are, and to understand that you've come to learn, you've come to experience, you've come to allow yourself to be, and all is love. And that's their message.
I love it. Tell them thank you. Well, I'm telling them thank you.
Tell them. It is important to understand, my dear, it is our service. It is our goal in order to help others be who they are. Thank you so much for appreciating us, and all is love.
Thank you so much for being. Thank you so much for coming. And all is love.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Ginny. That was great.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. I enjoy these. Thanks for doing it.
Me too. Yeah. We've enjoyed time with you.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Until next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.